Hey y'all, it's only a day after Labor Day. Y'all remember yesterday was Labor Day. I'm just getting up. I'm scrolling. Did I see this day? Oh, I didn't see that day. I don't think so. Day 8? Because he got on a different shirt. Y'all, it seemed to me like there was so many days of this trial. Seemed like Henry wore the same shirt over and over again. Who bought Henry them shirts? Because when you go to jail, why he couldn't just wear jail clothes? Because we all know he was in jail. So I'm trying to figure out, did the state, did the taxpayers, did y'all money pay for Henry to have all them shirts? And who did his hair? Who did his hair? Let me see. I ain't seen that shirt. That's a nice shirt though. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know. I should have wrote down the days that I watched and checked them off. I didn't realize it was so many. And they long too, y'all. They long. But what confuses me is like I'll watch a long crime coverage. You see, this is 8 hours. And then it's like, what day was this? So I go by the shirts. I know it's a lazy way of doing it. It's very unorganized because clearly I'm missing some days. I don't know who that is right there, but I guess it's a different story. They should have had that dude in a suit because he not gonna wear no clothes no more. But then again, he gonna be in jail. So look at this dude. I just watched the one with the forensics last night, where the anthropologist. I watched that in full, where she went over the body and stuff like that. And y'all remember this day when the policeman announced that they found her body 2 years ago, and he choked up. Can you imagine, being a cop and you looking for this little girl and you find her and he's a convicted offender, so you just know she went through something. She went through something. But when you watch, I don't know why people say the anthropologist was being rude. She wasn't. I mean, I don't know why you guys expect people in this type of field to have like a certain kind of personality. I think this one here is crazy with the girl who threw the baby in the trash. She clearly had a baby in the hospital and wrapped it up and threw it in the trash and then put paper towels and stuff over it and came back and tried to act like nobody wasn't going to find it. That's a child's mind, just like AJ Armstrong. Well, we know they found him guilty. Shout out to the prosecutor. I did a video on her. I know her name. Just don't remember it. Because I feel bad calling her the prosecutor. She is amazing. This trial is thorough. This is the best trial I've ever watched in my life. And I've seen plenty. It's the best. You know what makes it the best? You know what makes it the best? Oh, I got to watch this one because I know he felt good knowing that he arrested Henry. But it is so thorough. If y'all don't want to know how a trial should be done, watch the Henry Dinkins trial. If you ever got to have somebody go to court, make sure you get somebody who is thorough like this prosecution team. That young lady that's studying under her, she is blessed. She going to get all the knowledge. Dang. She gonna get all the knowledge. That woman is thorough. She broke everything down. What I saw of AJ trial, it was just a sham. It really was. But shout out to them for getting a guilty verdict. And also shout out to them for taking up for Josh, the brother. That's real crazy and sad how the family tried to throw the other brother under the bus. Claim that, his mental issues, which is proven. I remember this one. I saw this on Facebook. A guy that lives across the street posted her hanging out the window, screaming, saying he had her chained up in the house. And he told her when he came back he was going to kill her. She knew he was. And I think the dude himself is black. But she's white. And then later on, the guy came back and showed her coming back to the house the same day, creeping around, going inside, I guess looking for mail. She went in the mailbox. She was looking for, I guess, belongings. He had the house boarded up. How he got out, we don't know. But you can tell this is like, you can see how they like townhomes. So, you know, they kind of, everybody see everything, but clearly they couldn't see that this dude had his house boarded up and only has certain ways of getting in and out. I don't know if they're gonna, I don't think they started a trial on him yet, or if he's gonna, because he didn't kill her. But I'll be looking for more on her story, like what was going on. I think she had a baby with him. I'm not sure where the baby was, or if there really is a baby, or she was pregnant. I think she was pregnant. But you see, they had to go in there, and it was only 2 cops at first, and one was standing outside. Can you imagine when dude got back? They had to climb up there, get her unchained, and then they couldn't figure out a way to get back. The fire team had to come. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Oh, no, he wasn't black. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to misgender him. Well, it's not gender, but I had to throw that in there. Look at this. Who would... Man, listen. That's crazy. But back to Henry. I'm looking, y'all, trying to say... I'm trying to see if they back with a verdict. If it's not going to be at the end of this week... What? Wait a minute. I think I've seen this one. Yeah, this is, I want to say this is Marquise, the one, yeah, that's him. That one was crazy. That one was crazy. They took his eye and everything. Look at her. She was pregnant, too. They had videos on Facebook. He was just too old for her. He had issues. Wow, I didn't see that one. Okay. They just... It's just craziness going on all around. I didn't see that one either. With the closed caption. I'm looking to see if they coming back with a verdict. Pins and needles. But, and I don't know anything about this judge, and that's what keeps me in suspense. I'm not even going to look him up. I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Y'all remember this? I don't know if he went to trial yet. The dad that shot the 3 sons. I don't know why they blacking out the cops, but that's funny. But this is crazy. I saw him in court crying and all that kind of stuff. And his father did an interview at home in his rocking chair. What is he saying? No audio until 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Why? Because they cut out what he's saying. What could he be saying? This dude gunned down his children. One of the children tried to run after he shot the other ones. And then he ran after the child, shot him in the back. He did all this in front of the wife. Snatched one of the babies out her hand and killed him. Honey, he would have had to shoot me too. He would have had to shoot me too. Person of interest. Man, he was the person. He was the interest. He the only interest from the start. Tase me, you racist. Okay, that's something else. What's this? Henry, you going to jail, Henry boy. You going to jail, boy. You going to jail. You going to jail. This was a long trial too, and they were thorough. 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 Her only daughter. I might watch this. This would be interesting to hear somebody else give a take on his interrogation. It was the worst piece of crap I seen. They honestly should have. Look at all these beautiful people just getting killed. Just very attractive looking people. And then Henry, on the other hand, I wish I could zoom in on this. Not attractive at all. I wish they cut the hair off of him. He think he could get a haircut, but he think he sexy with that hair. I hate they even do stuff like this. If she going through this, y'all remember Tori from what was that show? I don't even want to talk about that. That's crazy how they putting them out there like that. They need to cut his hair, man. What? Tekashi 6ix9ine got arrested. Listen, I want to see the judge come back with a verdict. Did somebody do a live stream 5 hours long asking, will the judge come back today with a verdict? They just ended the case, I believe, 3 days ago. The judge is not coming back with no verdict on the same day, and it's a bench trial. It's too soon. He gotta take his time and go over everything, y'all. He don't got no jurors to argue with. Oh, this is another thing. I had a different conversation. Hold on. This is something y'all should watch. This is the jurors having a conversation about the Armstrong trial. Now, when I first heard it, I gotta go listen to it again. I'm not sure if these are the jurors from I thought they were from a previous trial. Someone in the comments said, the first juror represents every reason we should do away with juries. A critic. On one hand, she tells us she didn't believe that he could have seen in the dark, then insists that he should recognize someone slipping past that same darkness. These jurors clearly felt obliged. You sure that's what you're trying to say? To convict. Seems from the second juror here was plenty of confusion and doubt. He almost got away with it. I'm glad they came to a logical conclusion. Now, I'm going to listen to it again, but I could have swore that at the end of this, they said that they were happy that the defense attorney on the level, like he might bench something. Okay? But Armstrong, he got is that his name, Armstrong? Yeah. He got a funny shape about him. He looked kind of hunched over and everything. So he a funny looking kid, but I could have sworn that they said that they were happy that they're getting another trial. He's getting another trial. So I thought they were from the first to the second. They wanted to convict him and they tried him until they got the outcome. I pray his appeal goes the right way and he gets his life back. Whoa. Seems like you the baby mama. Listen, y'all, I don't like really getting too deep into commentary on cases that I can't watch the trial or read the court documents. But from what has been presented, and that video I shared on my community tab is a great put together. Homeboy did that. This ain't no allegedly, because he already found guilty, but he did that. I could really go in on the aunt and uncle, and I did. I also recorded it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna release it yet, because y'all know I didn't even hold back. But no, not aunt and uncle, the uncle and the grandma. Somebody said there's no concrete evidence in the case. Physical forensic. How can you find anyone guilty? See, that's the thing. If we needed concrete evidence to find anybody guilty, there would be nobody going to jail. People just get away with everything. All they got to do is make sure that there's some things that just don't show up. And that's doable because people do it. We got bodies that still ain't been found to this day. Okay? That's not how the system works. People clearly don't watch trials. And most trials that I see, they're kind of a joke to me in a way, because they ain't really thorough or, good. But Bridget Terrell trial, that's one of the best trials. That is the best trial I've ever seen. And, okay, so it's back. Hold on, let me pause it.
Someone, 3 more are always pointing right back.
His defense attorney, man, he sucked. But he tried. He tried, but he ain't had nothing.
I've seen a case where
he didn't have nothing. Hold on, let me find my remote.
3 more pointed back at the prosecution more strongly and more firmly than this one right here. I'm going to submit to you, just very plainly, that this case is being thrown in your lap because the prosecution doesn't trust you. They don't trust you to convict Mr. Dinkins on this evidentiary record. They want you to decide this case on a motion. They want you to decide the case with cameras and media in the courtroom, all the officers sitting here. They want you to decide the case based upon that, rather than this fairy tale that they've spun and this circumstantial, and I use that in quotes, evidence case that they want you to believe. Rhetorically, I want to look you in the eye. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Are you totally convinced that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes? Are you firmly and fully satisfied that the evidence that's been presented before you is enough to say that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes? Those are really the burning questions for you, because that's what reasonable doubt comes down to. Our Supreme Court has approved a jury instruction that says, based upon all the evidence, drawing all the inferences from the evidence, or in some cases lack of evidence produced, would a reasonable person hesitate to act? And I would submit to you that if someone come up to you and said, did Henry Dinkins commit murder in the first degree? Did Henry Dinkins commit kidnapping in the first degree? Would you immediately say yes, or would you have to stop and think? There's no way on this evidentiary record that you would not have to stop and think, because there simply is no evidence to support the state's theory that this man committed these crimes. You simply cannot say, based upon what has been presented here, that Henry Dinkins set out on a plan to sexually assault this 10-year-old girl and then decide to execute her. Because that's what it was. It was an execution. Any reasonable person would hesitate to act on this record. A person may have an opinion. I think the state has an opinion. I think the state feels they got it right. I think the state thinks that Henry Dinkins did this. But that's not the standard. The standard is, did the state prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? This is not a whodunit. This is not a whodunit. This is who proved it. I find it ironic that we're talking about Henry Dinkins committing sexual abuse upon Bridget Terrell, but we're not here talking about him being charged with sexual abuse upon Bridget Terrell. I find that very ironic, and so should you. To act.
Hold on.
And I would submit to you that
I'm listening to the defense. I guess this is closing argument. Yo, this dude, listen to him.
if someone come up to you and said, did Henry Dinkins commit murder in the first degree? Did Henry Dinkins commit kidnapping in the first degree? Would you set out on a plan to sexually assault this 10-year-old girl that they spun, and this circumstantial, and I use that in quotes, evidence case that they want you to believe? Rhetorically, I want to look you in the eye. I want to ask you a couple of questions. Are you totally convinced that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes?
Yes.
Are you firmly and fully satisfied that the evidence that's been presented before you is enough to say that Henry Dinkins committed these crimes? Those are really the burning questions for you, because that's what reasonable doubt comes down to. You know, our Supreme Court has approved a jury instruction that says, based upon all the evidence, drawing all the inferences from the evidence, or in some cases lack of evidence produced, would a reasonable person hesitate to act? And I would submit to you that if someone come up to you and said, did Henry Dinkins commit murder in the first degree? Did Henry Dinkins commit kidnapping in the first degree? Would you immediately say yes, or would you have to stop and think? There's no way on this evidentiary record that you would not have to stop and think, because there simply is no evidence to support the state's theory that this man committed these crimes.
Is he serious?
You simply cannot say, based upon what has been presented here, that Henry Dinkins set out on a plan to sexually assault this 10-year-old girl and then decide to execute her. Because that's what it was. It was an execution.
Y'all hear that? Listen, this defense attorney, he know he lost his case. But he said it was an execution, which we know it is. But this is coming out of his mouth. Oh, pictures of the cars in the RV. Let's look at that while we listen to him talk about this execution.
A reasonable person would hesitate to act on this record. A person may have an opinion. I think the state has an opinion. I think the state feels they got it right. I think the state thinks that Henry Dinkins did this. But that's not the standard. The standard is, did the state prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? This is not a whodunit. This is not a whodunit. This is who proved it. I find it ironic that we're talking about Henry Dinkins committing sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell, but we're not here talking about him being charged with sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell. I find that very ironic, and so should you.
Wait, what?
I think the state has an opinion. I think the state feels they got it right.
They're supposed to have an opinion.
The state thinks that Henry Dinkins did this, but that's not the standard. The standard is, did the state prove it beyond a reasonable doubt? This is not a whodunit. This is not a whodunit. This is who proved it.
They proved it.
I find it ironic that we're talking about Henry Dinkins committing sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell, but we're not here talking about him being charged with sexual abuse upon Breasia Terrell.
What?
I find that very ironic, and so should you. I find it ironic that there's not one piece of physical evidence that can say ever that Henry Dinkins touched this girl in any way, let alone even give her an untoward glance or make an off-color comment or tell her she looks nice, even give her a compliment about her appearance.
Well, that's because nobody said anything. I'm pretty sure he has, and they just didn't. It went over their heads because their radar is not on it. And if he did, and the girlfriend heard it, she not gonna say. She not gonna say no more than she already said. But at least the brother did say he was spending too much time with her and he was gazing at her. Now, he is slick with that comment about him not being charged with anything against Breasia, because he's pointing out is that's really their assumption, not fact. Her body still has some tissues on it. I don't know if y'all saw that part, but I watched that last night with the anthropologist. They even had to blast away some tissues to, like in our chest area, to inspect the bones, because the bones is going to show like where bullets could have hit or stabbing or something, because you can't get that from the tissues that are left. So she was not even fully decomposed. But someone in the comment section said something interesting about the bleach, that according to the brother of Breasia, he poured bleach down somewhere, which could have been on her body and her clothes. They did say the clothes appeared to be discolored by what would be bleach. I just couldn't say for sure. They did test it, but y'all know that stuff evaporates and it's chemicals. It goes off after a while. I was about to look up something. What was it? The bleach. Oh, okay. Let's let him keep talking. A question was brought up about that bleach. Hold on.
With her and with Andrea Culberson, that got the wheels turning, and that got the libido moving. And there's absolutely no evidence of that. Andrea Culberson didn't give you any indication that Henry Dinkins was acting untoward toward Breasia Terrell. In fact, the evidence you've heard is quite the contrary. The evidence you heard from DL, we'll talk a lot about DL down the road, but from Andrea Culberson, was that everyone was happy that night. It was a good night. You heard it from Aisha Langford as well, that when Breasia come down to get her clothes, she was happy even though she's a stepchild. Aisha liked going over there because she liked the snacks. Was Henry Breasia because you liked the snacks? Now is Henry grooming this little girl with vanilla Oreos?
He talking about Aisha. This dude ain't even really, and he sucked. Henry had to look at him and say, Breasia, y'all, what the heck? I know Aisha was like, and of course it's a bench trial, so everybody don't get to be in the courtroom, but I know when she looked back at this, she was like, I ain't like going over there for no snacks.
So that Andrea Culberson didn't give you any indication that Henry Dinkins was acting untoward toward Breasia Terrell. In fact, the evidence you've heard is quite the contrary. The evidence you heard from DL, we'll talk a lot about DL down the road, but from Andrea Culberson, was that everyone was happy that night. It was a good night. You heard it from Aisha Langford as well, that when Breasia come down to get her clothes, she was happy. She was learning how to be an AT&T operator. It was a good night. Henry cooked dinner that evening for the kids.
What he cooked? Hamburger helper. Listen, oodles and noodles. This whole AT&T operated thing, he taking it too far. She was not training for no job. She was not really learning how to be no AT&T operator. It was just something cool that the woman was doing that, Breasia could take interest in, because, she working. And they both females, so she gonna try to bond with the girl some kind of way. But he act like she really was training for a job. How he sound? She learned how to be an AT&T operator at what, 10 years old? That woman just showed her some aspects of her job and probably let her wear the microphone and help a little bit. And it's cute and it's cool, and I'm glad she was nice to Breasia. I'm glad we ain't hear nothing about her being mean to the children. But listen, stop. She was learning how to be an AT&T operator. He said it like they was training her for her future.
And Cooked dinner for Aisha as well, even though she's a stepchild. Aisha liked growing up.
I don't like this dude. He said he was cooking dinner for her even though she's a stepchild. First of all, she not a stepchild. Henry and his girlfriend ain't married, and Henry and Brieja's mother wasn't married. She was a little girl who wasn't probably even a year or two old when Henry walked out. It was no longer part of their family. Okay, that he met and was around as a baby, unfortunately. Knowing what he did. 5-year-old girl? Are you around this baby? Okay, so somebody in the comment section of one of the videos talked about the Clorox. And that acids, does the Clorox help get rid of the body, help it break down more, faster? I didn't hear them bring this up in court. When the prosecution went over the bleach thing, she did not, and this would have been I seen a couple of things that she missed, but I don't have no complaints about this woman. She did a thorough job. Anybody else would have missed way more. But a couple of things that could have helped with this whole bleach thing, and them trying to figure out what he did with the bleach, because they came to a conclusion that they could not say for sure what he did with the bleach. And another reason why it would have been important to break down, bring a chemical expert up there to break down what all the bleach could have been used for in this case, would be to give more reason, especially with there not being a jury and this being a judge. This would have been a hit out of the ballpark to tell and explain scientifically how a bleach could aid him in committing a murder and getting rid of his evidence. How it helps with the blood, how it helps with, okay, let's read. So it's saying, what chemical speeds up decomposition? Okay, so that's talking about acid, but I was looking at bleach. I wanted to find something specifically about bleach. Hot and moist environments is the best way. Okay, so this was summer, right? They had on shorts. He took her to the pond. He left her in the pond. They said with higher temperatures, the bacteria in the body produce gas at a faster rate, and we know that because they have to keep them on ice in the morgue. They have to keep them on cool at the funeral home and hurry up and do that. Heat also helps break down the cell structures and liquefaction of bodily fluids. All right. How do you speed up the composition? Heat and insect activity. Yeah. Okay, the bacteria in the body produces gas at a faster rate, creates more openings in the skin for flies to lay their eggs. Of course, other animals. Man, excess carbon dioxide causes an acidic environment, causing cell. See, Dr. Saber ain't lying about that acid. You better stay alkaline, causing membranes and cell to rupture. Membrane releases enzymes. Okay, we're going to listen to him some more. I'm going to look around.
Over there because she liked the snacks. Was Brieja, because you liked the snacks. Now, is Henry Dinkins set about grooming this little girl with vanilla Oreos? I don't think so. Okay, that's a theory that the state may have. That speaks volumes as to what this case is. It's a case built upon conjecture. It's a case built upon supposition. It's a case built upon assumption. And it's
it's not.
Built upon hypothesis. I think you heard Detective Oberg say, it's the theory. That's in the record. It's the theory. We don't convict people on theories. We convict people on evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's just not here. The threshold question, of course, and the state admits this when they went into a sexual assault discussion right off the bat, is why. What motive did Henry Dinkins have to hurt this little girl?
Okay, the motive is he's a registered offender already, so yeah, he would. In a temperature climate, it usually, in a temperate climate, it usually requires 3 weeks to several years for a body to completely decompose into a skeleton, depending on factors such as temperature, humidity, presence of insects, and submerged in a substrate such as water. Okay, so he knew. That's why he told, I can't wait to see the one, because I heard it was more than one cellmate that came to testify. So he been in the prison with a cellmate. So now they done testified. Now his trial done been had. Is he gonna be in PC now? Protective custody? Is he gonna be in protective custody now? Cause let them dogs out. Let him out, man. Let him out. Okay, so I had y'all on pause there. All right, so this article here is a good read because it talks about using bleach as a crime scene cleanup. There's a company I used to work for many years ago, and our job was to clean up homes after things like a fire, and when somebody passes away. Because, if somebody gets shot, killed in your home, it's up to you to clean that up. I don't know why people don't make the state pay for it. Like, there should be some kind of law that state should cover that. But they don't. It's up to you. You can do it yourself. You can hire someone, and most of the time, people don't know how to and don't want to, and they're grieving. They're going to hire someone. And, of course, they can do it right. You clean up a lot of things in your life, but not that. So what they're saying is, you would think Clorox is the best thing, and it may seem logical, but it is not recommended and effective for crime scene cleanup, and here is why. So your body is it produces ammonia. It's a primary proponent found in body fluids, right? Your urine, for one, and other body fluids. And when that is mixed with Clorox, it causes a dangerous gas, and it is phosphine. And it can cause serious physical injury if it comes in contact with skin. Not to mention, it comes in the fumes from the chemicals can cause deadly harm. So also, Clorox contains several ingredients that could be extremely harmful to the skin if exposed for a prolonged amount of time. Bleach is so powerful that it can change the color from your skin. And you should wear gloves, of course, and other PPE, like protect your clothes, protect all your skin, wear a mask, all that kind of stuff, like a shield. Too much exposure to bleach can cause irritation, rashes, dryness, and pigment changes to your body. It's not an effective use of cleanup. Fluids from a deceased body are considered extremely harmful substances, and they contain pathogens that can cause serious infectious diseases if not handled properly. Makes sense, right? Clorox should only be considered for basic household cleaning. It's not equipped to handle such a large endeavor, and bleach alone should not be used to clean up a scene like this, and can possibly lead to an even worse infection. Professionals that deal with crime scene cleanup on a daily basis are prepared with equipment that is tested and approved by the government. Jeez. So here's one, and this is from the Clorox company. I had a contract with them one time. I used to deliver bulk Clorox. Those were some heavy loads, man. All right, so the Clorox Company's headquarters has always been in Oakland, California, where the company founders first used salt water from the San Francisco Bay to make bleach. Okay, I'm today years old finding that out. Once it encounters organic material like dirt or heat or sunlight, bleach very rapidly breaks down into salt, NaCl, and water, where it all began. So bleach comes from starting and ending as salt water, is a big part of what makes bleach environmental friendly. Sodium Hypochlorite works best when in part of a complete formula with ingredients to enhance the bleach active. In addition to sodium hypochlorite in water, small amounts of sodium chloride, sodium carbonate, and sodium hydroxide are included for product stability and to maintain pH. Sodium chlorate is naturally present in small amounts as an intermediate molecule during the natural breakdown of bleach to salt water. Polyacrylic acid is included as an anti-redeposition agent. And finally, a polyelectrolyte complex improves brightening. Okay. So let's see, how does it work? Breaking up soils and stains to make it easier for the laundry detergent to do its job. Getting clothes clean. That's why adding bleach along with your regular detergent doesn't just sanitize, it also gets it whiter. We already know that. Clorox should always be diluted with water first before using. When mixing up a bleach and water solution for home disinfection, use the amounts of bleach and water recommended, blah, 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 blah. It's made mostly of water and sodium hypochlorite, the active ingredient that cleans and kills germs. Other ingredients are included in very small amounts to stabilize the formula and improve cleaning and whitening. So sodium hypochlorite is the active ingredient. Wow. That's very interesting. So it says odors caused by human decomposition often require specific steps for removal. Organic matters immediately begin to decompose after death, and while it is a completely natural process, it does cause an overwhelming concentration of malodorous compounds. And this means that store-bought diluted solutions may not be powerful enough to eliminate the smell. While every cadaver will emit pungent odors, get this out of here. Do not, okay? Do not. Then we good. All right? That should be annoying. Okay, every cadaver will emit pungent odors. The severity is exacerbated by warm climates and time of death. The longer the body sits, the worse it will smell. It is vitally important to hire a professional for unattended death cleanup. All right. Some decomposition odors may signal the presence of dangerous chemicals that can be lethal when mixed with domestic cleaning products, such as chlorine and ammonia. This may be particularly true for dead animals that are decomposing in your home without your knowledge. Animal carcasses are often hidden crevices. Okay, that's nice to know. We know. All right, step 1, ventilate. Step 2, wash thoroughly. Always wear gloves. Use a registered disinfectant product with a broad spectrum kill claim. Okay, you can use white vinegar and water as an additional cleaning step. Wet the area, let it sit for minutes, and pat it dry with a lint-free rag. Y'all underestimate white vinegar, but that should be your basic cleaner, not Clorox. I'm just here to tell you. To help ensure that the decomposition odors are permanently removed, set a bowl of vinegar or baking soda near the clean area. This will help absorb any lingering smells. Keep in mind that the bowl should be placed well out of the reach of pets and children. So they're not recommending anything else. Okay, after the cleanup process is complete, we use adenosine triphosphate, ATP, fluorescent testing. Okay. Listen, I'm finding some interesting articles. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm about to save some of these to read for another time. But I'm not finding the answers that we are technically looking for. So let's listen to him give his sucky argument.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy? In Pre-Asia, we're going to engage in some sort of illicit activity. Just isn't there either. First night at this new location.
He looking at his notes. He ain't saying nothing. Did y'all hear this dude? Somebody asks, what's the Henry Dinkins defense? You listening to it. He don't have one. They had no problem with him staying the night and everybody had fun. That's basically what he's saying. Huh?
The crime just has to make sense. And the state knows this. The state knows this. I mean, they absolutely know this. So they try to spin this yarn that he's standing in a bedroom in this very small apartment, and DL says he peeks a couple times and sees Dad spending more time with Briasia. We're going to rely on that as a motive to commit a sex act.
Yeah. If you're an offender.
Sexually abused this child.
If you're a registered offender, yeah.
I'd say not. And then there has to be some connection to that and why he would want her dead. And the state has tried to put together this elaborate time frame with evidence that they say could be Henry Dinkins to say that he actually sexually abused her. Now, Ms. Cunningham called Henry very savvy. I disagree with that. I disagree with that wholly. I mean, look at this man right here. He is not a savvy individual in that regard. If you think about and compress this down to almost the most ridiculous time frame that we have, everybody in that apartment was, as far as the children, and Miss Culberson at least.
I wanted to see his reaction when they call him savvy. He say he not savvy. Dinkins ain't moved.
Asleep by midnight. Mr. Dinkins was in the Davenport Police Department by noon the next day. That's a 12-hour window. A 12-hour window for him to accomplish a lot of things that just doesn't make sense. Those 12 hours include waking up Briasia, who's a tattletale.
Wow.
Joins him voluntarily. And evidently, the theory is that some sedan, they can't identify that car as Mr. Dinkins, first of all, it's just a sedan, goes down to his RV, and these people get out of the car down to the RV. They can't put him in the RV.
Okay.
In the area of the RV.
Okay, so that part I haven't heard. So somebody saw a car go down to Dinkins' RV in the middle of the night or early in the morning. Okay, good. Let's keep talking. What? This Camaro is his? Cause it gotta be, because it says King on it. I don't know why he put King on there. King of what? King of what? So if that's his car, did it have why was he driving old girl car? Why was he driving her car around? He had a Camaro. How did he pay for a Camaro with that amphetamine he was selling?
Henry rapes her. And then
oh, did he?
Evidently goes back again to probably cover up the crime. Comes back and we know he's at the home at 3:30 a.m. At 3:30 a.m. he's in the house, and Briasia is seen by Miss Culberson outside the Impala. I think it bears noting that no one ever put Briasia inside that Impala. No one. Didn't even try. It wasn't even attempted to put her in that Impala.
This is what I want to say.
It was the assumption that she was in the Impala.
This guy don't have no defense. I'm waiting to hear. I think this is my first time hearing him do his closing argument. I don't hear him. Now, the prosecution, I just listened to her. She did a wonderful job. I don't hear him having a defense yet. Do y'all? Other than trying to say certain things aren't true and weren't proven and calling everything speculation and hearsay. He don't have an alibi. Now, the thing about Andrea, the girlfriend, saying that she saw Briasia standing next to the car, y'all, I don't think she's telling the truth about that part. I don't think she's telling the truth about that part. Think about this. We all know it's a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, so you basically can see in the, not basically, it's, you can see in the bedroom from laying in the living room. All right. Then you have a closet, you have a bathroom, and you have a little kitchenette or whatever. It's tiny. We all saw it. The officer went in there. They described it. DL described it. Andrea described it. Everybody described it. It's tiny. It could be the size of his little motorhome even. I don't think that he took Breasia out that apartment and Andrea didn't watch him do it. I don't believe that. That woman already had butterflies in her stomach when she so-called went to sleep. Unless she had to take something to make her sleep because she knew she wasn't going to do anything about what Henry did, and she knew he was up to no good, and she just wanted to be asleep. She was up. She was woke. She said herself when he came back the second time, she was woke. And she could not sleep. Like he thought she was asleep, but she couldn't sleep. She was up because she was trying to figure out what he was doing. Okay, she said she woke up when, think about this, her testimony, and I wish I had it clipped so I can go right to it. But Andrea said she was up when he was leaving with Breasia. Think about that. She had to see him when he took Breasia out that door. Her to say Breasia standing outside the car while he come back upstairs to get something, I don't see it. I don't see it. Breasia went so she could be with her brother and make sure he good. That tells me that if he got Breasia outside, standing by the car, getting ready to go somewhere at 3 a.m. with her nightgown on, we just gonna call it a nightgown, but his t-shirt, aka her nightgown, she gonna be like, where's my brother? Why my brother ain't coming? The only thing that I can think of that would make her just stand there and wait for him to come back is him saying, okay, I'm about to go get your brother. Stay right here. Don't that make sense? But think about that. He come downstairs. He don't have her brother. And she's looking. She can see him coming to the car without her brother. Where my brother at? He come and get in the car. And they get in the car and they drive off. It had to happen like that for her to just stand in that car. But again, we gotta, how did he get her out the house? She wasn't knocked out under no drug. Andrea had to have watched him take her out that house. Dink said that, which is her brother, that she kicked him hard. Why would she kick him hard? Because Nasty Guts here is trying to take her out the house. Andrea didn't sleep through that. He did. He intimidated everybody. He had to. He the man in the house. He the big dude. Everybody already bowed down to him. He had to say, Breasia, stop. Or whatever. I don't know. Andrea, he just probably had, Andrea, we know he didn't have to say nothing to her. She already knew to comply because that's just where she was at with it. She said in her testimony she didn't question him about nothing. She never questioned him about nothing. She never, ever questioned him about nothing. And to this day, she never, ever, ever, ever asked him, why did you take her? What did you do with her? She never asked him that. I got to go back later on and watch her testimony again because it just blew me away. The state should have put her next to him. They should have came for the mama and the grandma too on child endangerment. But Andrea should have been sitting next to Henry in the defense. She should have been charged with the exact same shit he charged with minus the sexual assault or whatever. If you help somebody in a murder, you get the same charges they do. We already know that. There's no way she was not woke when he took that baby out of there. She already said she was. The only difference is she trying to clear herself. The only difference is she trying to say, it woke me up. I went outside and I looked out the window. Even the little boy said he saw her look out the window. And she saw Breasia Center. And you know, guys, if DL can say he saw her look out the window, I don't think we ever gonna know what happened in the moments that he took her out of the house. I don't think that's something that's never gonna come out. But one thing we do know, Andrea know more than what she's saying. She saw more than what she's saying. She heard more than what she's saying. She know what he got. She know what he got out that closet. They got a small house. She know this dude. She know what's in her closet. She know what could be at the top of the closet for his interest. And she know what he took. Now, if D didn't see him take a machete out the closet, because he said he don't know what he got out the closet. Okay. The machete would have been harder for him to conceal than a gun. Because somebody said he got that gun out that closet. And honestly, that's the only thing I can come up with. That's the only thing I can come up with. He got the gun. Because she had a gun. She said it was up under her bed. In between the mattresses. Where the children would sleep. How you going to get your gun in emergency from between the mattresses? I don't know. But that's what she said her gun was. His gun was in top of that closet. He went in the top of that closet, got that gun, and hurried up. He can hide it with his whole body before he turn around. And by the time he turn around, have it tucked somewhere under his shirt. So DL won't see. I just...
At 3:30, then, we assume that these two take off. He drives her up to the area of Kunow Implement, 20, 30 minutes, kills her. Somehow takes the time to shoot her 3 times, and we'll talk about the shooting, somewhat cover it up, and get back to...
You hear that? What's the name of that? He said all these stolen lands. Look, Dinkins is also known to have previous connections with the Comanche Clinton area. Comanche, right? All these stolen lands, man. You see, this world is evil. Y'all got to give people back. You got to give us back all our people back our lands, man. I'm telling you, it's not going to get no better. You got stolen lands. You need to get that water off Lake Lanier. All that.
Jersey Meadows around 5:30ish and pick up his son. And he and his son go back to Clinton. It's 7 o'clock. They're at the Walmart in Clinton. They take their time coming back.
Now, you hear this? No defense. He went and picked up, this is defense attorney. He went and picked up his son. They go back to Clinton. Back to Clinton. Henry started scratching his head when he said that. Is your scalp, you got dandruff? I mean, he's scratching his head because he like, nigga. He went back to Clinton. Clinton is not where Andrea lives. AKA the house where they all are. Okay? He went back to Clinton. He not even telling why he went back to Clinton. Why did he go back to Clinton? You're the defense attorney. What was he doing in Clinton, sir? Can we get an explanation?
DL's version of the events, he's covering it up with bleach out there, and they're back in town by 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, there's phone calls being made. He's supposedly moving about Clinton, but in this time also, he's discarding clothes. He's showering and scrubbing himself up, making sure all possible crime scenes are sprayed with bleach. And doing it 100% successfully. So not only has he got the mindset to be able to do all this, but he's doing it to an absolute T. There's absolutely nothing left behind. They want to talk a lot about bleach and how bleach destroys DNA, but they also have to get you to assume and understand that not only if their theory is right.
Okay, so maybe I missed it because the defense attorney just said that they talked about how bleach helps destroy DNA. So, good. But he's still not saying why he got the bleach, why he went to Clinton. Because all that has been proven. You know, so I don't know why he's saying it like they making it up. It's already been proven and corroborated in several ways. Okay, the phone, the camera, the ping, the Walmart, the bleach, the RV, the guy helping him out the ditch. You know, all that. So he ain't giving no defense. Y'all ain't got no defense.
Dinkins not only did it, but he did it to the point that he destroyed any possibility of DNA at any crime location on any piece of evidence. Because what they forget to tell you, Your Honor.
I think when he's saying that, Henry's sitting there patting himself on the back because he really think he did something by not leaving behind no DNA. And I mean, I gotta give him props on that, but not really, because you had almost a year for all that stuff to be gone. People say this ain't his first time, and I'm willing to say I'm rocking with that assessment. It can't be his first time. This cannot. There's no way. I don't think it's his first time. Okay.
Is that they brought in the FBI crime team? Okay. They didn't bring in just local people with local resources. They brought in the FBI crime team, and they spent hours combing that RV, okay? And in that RV, they took everything that they thought there would be DNA on. They took anything they thought there would be blood on. They took anything they thought there'd be semen on.
Man, he taking so long.
They vacuumed the little special vacuums that thought would get any trace evidence on. They took hair. For crying out loud, these people were dressed in Tyvek suits, rubber boots, hats. That's how seriously they took preservation of evidence. And what do we know they found in the RV? Nothing. They were asked to test for blood and semen because from jump, this case was thought to be Henry Dinkins raped this little girl. And that was their theory, and that's what they were going with. The very first moment that man went to the police station, that was their theory. Can't convince me otherwise, Your Honor, because they were testing for blood and semen on July 14th. Why was they only testing for that? Why won't they want all DNA to see maybe who else had been in there? Blood and semen. Their choice at that point was to make a case against Henry Dinkins, not build a case based upon the evidence. You see, they'd already concluded that Henry Dinkins had done this. And now we're going to build the evidence around that conclusion.
Okay, now he going somewhere. All right. Now he going somewhere. He's saying that they only wanted to build a case against Henry, and that's what they did. And they only focused on Henry and not the possibility of another suspect. Now, he has mentioned this throughout the trial, and the prosecution has gave arguments against that as to why it was clear that Henry is the only suspect. And there's a great deal of evidence that works in their favor on that. That makes sense. And fortunately, Andrea was a big help on that, because she did finally admit that she saw him take her out the house. But it's gonna be up to the judge to legally decide, is this fair to Henry? Because the prosecution is saying we don't have any other evidence. There are no other suspects. We've exhausted any other possibilities that we could think of. So there's nothing else to look for. But the defense attorney is currently presenting a point that even when looking for the DNA evidence, they didn't look for anything else but anything that could have been presented as Henry's. Not necessarily, because if you're looking for any semen or DNA, then it could turn out to be anybody's. You could find some, test it. Oh, it's not Henry's, it's your friend's. So what you do, sell it? Like, it could have turned out either way. If they're looking for that, they're looking for that. If it's Henry's, it's Henry's. If it's not, it's not. So I don't think that he's going to really pull that off. And it seems like that's his real defense. Like, that's his only defense. He's been saying this throughout the trial. That, hey, they decided Henry was it, and that's who they went after. Every questionings and crosses that he's been doing has been to try to say, you only focusing on Henry. You decided earlier that it was him. You didn't check this, that, and that out. He questioned the other case that had nothing to do with this case, but it went on at the time. The guy they found with a white tee that supposedly had blood on it in his trunk, and the testing of that, and did they admit it? Did they, try to see if that was Breasia or Henry's blood or, whatever. Well, he technically said, did you test to see if it was Breasia's blood? So his arguments, because you got to figure out what this guy's defense is supposed to be, because it's not clear, because he don't have one. He don't even got an alibi saying, I was nowhere around. He was all over it. And that's why I say, this looks like this is his defense. They only chose me, so they decided that they were going to make it be me. Same way people are trying to say about AJ, and we're going to go back to that. But AJ Armstrong, they decided they wanted to pin it on him. They tried him. Didn't work. Tried him again. Didn't work. Tried him. Now they got a conviction. That's surface level speaking and thinking. Because this defense is not strong enough. It's not. All the evidence that shows that Henry had to be a suspect. There was no way you can exclude him from being a suspect. He is the suspect, primary suspect. He was the one who took Breasia out that house and came back without her not. And the area she was found in is the area he was trapping around in, and even came back and got his son and was trapping around in there, in that area. So that defense is not going to work for him, and that's all they got. Well, homeboy tried.
Pick only the evidence that surrounds that conclusion.
He tried.
But nothing in that RV. Now, had she been raped in that RV, they would have found something. I would submit that to you. A hair, some sort of DNA. But they didn't test for DNA. And that's not his fault. It's their burden. It's their burden. And they had that evidence back within a month or so. And they had
Okay.
no blood, they had no semen.
Here we go. So these are my two big unanswered questions that I'm left with after everything I've seen. We just discussed one. What were the actual events of him taking her out the house? We just talked about that. That's still left in question, and we're not sure. But I think, like for me, my summary is that an assumption is that he forcibly took her out the home, but he made sure that she, her brother, and even Andrea didn't say anything. If they said anything more. I don't think he had to say anything to Andrea. I think he may have had to say something to DL and, of course, Breasia. Threaten him, maybe. I'm not sure. But I think that he had a great intimidation factor over all of them anyway. And before he could be DL's father, that's just a little undertone. He was more so this man that we hardly know, but we kind of, that's the option we have for a father. So he's a big, scary guy that we don't know, and a grown man that we don't know like that. So it's not hard to intimidate the children, you know. But we don't have a clear and uncut explanation of that. And I'm saying DL too because just like Andrea, I think it's clear that there's a lot more that he hasn't said and he's not going to say, at least not publicly. And that's understandable and respected. If you look at him the second day, knowing what all he done came out with, that morning, the second, that would be the same day really, but kind of the day after the night they spent. He came out there acting normal with the dad, saying quickly, last night when we were asleep, as if, to me, that kind of rang out, as if somebody definitely, they talked about this and he told them to say, that's when you seen him. Because if you go back to that cop video, and the cop asked him when the last time they seen him, DL spoke up quick, and he was like, last night when we were asleep, you know. That kind of threw me off. I'm like, And, you know, the whole time the cop was asking questions, he was helping describe his sister. He never seemed panicky. You know, he just seemed like a child that's speaking up for his sister, and he inserting himself. Hey, he pulled that off. I mean, I just, that whole thing right there is just like, wow. So the second thing is, where did he do this at? I don't think he had her in the RV. I think this dude knew. Listen, he can be a dummy all day. He cannot speak well all day, but crime is something that he clearly is somewhat good at. That's his field of work. That's his line of expertise. So I think he knew better than to take her in the RV. Although it seemed like that would be the logical spot, the comfortable spot and all that. Nah, I think he knew better than that. Okay. We don't know what he looked like when he came home. All we got is Andrea's testimony on that. He could have had more on him, you know, dirt and all that kind of stuff then. Because he got stuck in the ditch, in a muddy ditch. Let's keep that clear. You can't tell me this dude was clean head to toe after getting stuck in a muddy ditch, first of all. Secondly, again, let's keep going with the muddy ditch. He was at a pond. He got stuck in a muddy ditch. He was in some filth. But the guy who found him to help him said he didn't seem to be really dirty. But he also didn't recall his shoes being gold. Did he change his shoes, or was his shoes dirty and he didn't see that they were gold shoes? I don't know. Where did he do this all at? I think he had her right there on the ground by the lake. He might have had a blanket and got rid of it in another location. But I think I think everything took place right there at that lake. You know, that's a question we don't have answers to. They didn't find DNA, so they don't know. And usually, even if they don't know how exactly the person was killed, now we did get trajectories and everything of the gunshots from the anthropologist. I didn't listen to the coroner's testimony yet, so I'm pretty sure there's more revealed there. So they do have pretty much what I'm assuming they have what they think caused her death. But what happened? Usually they give some kind of theory based upon the evidence. They come up with a theory of what they at least surmise has happened. And I have not heard that yet. The prosecution just gave her closing arguments. And other than saying he raped her and killed her, she didn't break down those specifics to explain how this took place. Usually we get that, even if they are speculating based on their expertise in the evidence that they found. We didn't get that. So that's another question, like, what happened in her final moments? I think he was right there at that spot on by that pond. Everything was right there on the ground. And he left her where she lay. Put that bleach on her, put it in the water, covered up with sticks. Crazy.
And they had no trace evidence.
Crazy.
And they had a good year and a half to say, you know what, let's send that back to the FBI, or ask the FBI to test it, or send it on to the DCI. They can do DNA testing on any cuttings or swabs or fabric or whatever. But what was the answer we got when I asked that of Detective Pfeiffer? My supervisor said no. My supervisor said no. Not his fault. Their fault. Their burden. They say that she was assaulted in that RV. They need to prove she was assaulted in that RV. Not just say, well, there was cleaner bleach sitting there, so he must have cleaned it up. Okay. We now know we have a test for bleach. TCI, we heard Agent Stepanski. Okay, let's have Agent Stepanski tested for bleach. There's no elements breaking down anything in the RV. We have it in a controlled environment, for Christ's sake. Let's test that.
Yeah, I don't know why they said that though. I'm still shaking my head on that one. I don't know why they said he did it in the RV when they found nothing. The only thing I can think of is they think it's not possible for him to do everything at the dirty pond because there's no proof that he was covered in mud or whatever. But I think that's just one that kind of slipped away because of mainly Andrea lying, honestly, and certain things that DL is not telling. To be honest with you, those are the main two that can give up more, that gives more answers that we're likely never gonna get. And who knows, one day DL might get older, he might just put it all out there. Yeah, but we don't know that. I don't know why they said the RV though. I don't I don't see it. I don't think he, even if he, okay, she only had on a gown. He could have took in an RV. He could have carried her. He could have carried her in the RV. He could have had her in the RV and said, "Here, get right on this blanket. Don't you move." And then toss the blanket. That still is taking a chance that her DNA is going to be left in there somewhere. And how do you know you're going to get all of it? So, and would it have still been there after 8 months or so? In a hot RV? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the percentage of him having her in that RV is just too small. I don't think so. But hey, they're the experts and they speculate that it had to be the RV. But I don't think so.
But then, if it hadn't come back with the answer they wanted, they pivot off that and say, well, you know, there's bleach and laundry products, and we wouldn't have found it there anyway.
See?
But note,
I knew he was going to do that. And that's why I got to listen to that part again. Because if I recall, their reasoning was that they're not going to get any more than we got, which is 0. And they said they had the FBI expert team test. He's, even saying that now. So for him to say, send it off to an even better testing lab, I wish they would have went ahead and did it. I think they felt confident that they weren't going to get any more answers, but I think they also learned from this too. Next time we want to make sure we get a conviction, so let's not leave them room to be able to question nothing. Even if it seemed like we as experts know if we didn't get anything, further testing isn't going to get anything. In some cases, that could be the case. In some cases, that couldn't be the case. And that's what gives the defense a strong argument when he's saying, why didn't you have it tested even further? So, hey, next time, leave no stones uncovered. Go and send it off. Shit, we paying for it anyway. Go do that. Get that. We need him in jail. Test it. Test it again. Test it again after that.
Hours after this young girl had supposedly been sexually assaulted, hours after this man supposedly sprayed all down with cleaner bleach and killed all the DNA and got rid of any evidence, no odor of bleach was detected. And when you're going to kill DNA, Your Honor, I would submit that when you're going to kill DNA, you don't give it just a couple squirts. You make sure it's dead. You make sure it's gone.
I just wish... I wish they would have really, really had dug into the bleach thing more and made sure that they covered all bases so he cannot do this. And being clear that you're not going to have the odor. And they did. It's his closing argument. There's not going to be any objections during the closing argument. I guess the judge know to disregard what he's saying. But he know he wrong for this. They already went over it and said that because he crossed somebody, I can't remember who, with this about smelling bleach. Did you smell any bleach? Did you smell any bleach here? Did you smell any bleach that? And she came right back and was and questioned him and had him say, "You're not gonna smell bleach after a considerable amount of time. It evaporates. It turns back. We just read that. It turns back into its original salts." That's kind of the same thing like when you make soap and you have the lye. You have the chemicals of the lye in the soap. When you first make the soap, it's going to smell more like the lye than the butters used, the oils used, and the, essential oils used, right? You got to let that soap sit and air out. And as the chemicals break down, they evaporate. And then you don't smell it and it doesn't have that same effect anymore. It has changed. It's done its job. It binded the lye chemicals and the oils and the butters all together to formulate into soap. And the rawness of the lye is no longer there. And you can use it after about a month. And you're not going to smell the lye. You're going to start to smell the butters and the fragrances that are left there. So that's like making a bar of soap, and then after 8, 9 months to a year, as long as she was sitting out there saying, "This is lye soap. I don't want to use lye soap because I heard it burn your skin." You know what people be saying because they don't know no better. That's lye soap. That's that old lye soap. Yeah, if you make it and you use it right away. You know what I'm saying? Like, he shouldn't even be sitting here saying this. But that's that cricket shit right there. Then you not how you gotta be silly even to sit here and think that after almost a year you go in there and spray your bathroom down with Clorox and come back in a year and see if that bathroom smell like Clorox. You know how you mop the floor, you go into some place, McDonald's, I don't know, anywhere, and they mop the floor and they think they did something because they put a lot of bleach in it, and you're like, man, this is a lot of bleach. Oh, all I smell is Clorox, burning my eyes and killing me. You gotta walk out. Go back in that same room with the floor ain't even been touched, no more Clorox spray, nothing. Almost a year later, and see if you gonna smell any signs that they ever use Clorox. Hell, that shit gonna be gone in a day. Get.
That enclosed environment, that small enclosed environment, you're gonna smell bleach. But then they introduce these albatross.
You hear what he just said?
Meant to scare you, meant to.
In a closed environment, months later, you gonna smell bleach.
Prejudice you like the machete.
When is this?
Which has nothing to do with anything in this case. There's no evidence that machete was used in a crime. There was no sharp force trauma to Brazier Terrell, and Dr. Graham, Dr. Cruz both said that there could have been.
Where's the date?
Been, if that large knife was used to harm Brazier Terrell. And look at that evidence. Look at it closely. That machete is brand new. Not a nick on the blade. The hone, the edge on that blade is just like you bought it at the store. There's not so much as anything that would say that was used to cut a bush. It is brand new. But we have white fibers on there. You know, we tested it against some other fibers that didn't match, but we'll forget about that. And we have a baseball bat. I'm going to ask you rhetorically again, what does a baseball bat have to do with anything?
Okay.
It's in the evidence, and we found.
So so let me give him a little credit back. We looking at this article here where they confiscated Henry's vehicles. He got a nice little RV. Man, this man could have lived in his RV, registered that address with whoever land he was staying on, minded his business, got him a job, went on by his life, rehabilitated himself, and made himself a decent person, but he chose not to. Okay, from the outside, look like a nice little spot to live in, whatever. I don't know. They got the cars, his car, I'm assuming, that he couldn't make payments on, so I'm pretty sure it's gone. And Andrea car. He did his dirt in Andrea car. Clearly. And they have pictures of his previous arrests. This should say 3 years ago. It don't have no date. When you see an article with no date available, that's crazy. None. Okay? But when we follow this article, it says Davenport Police Chief Paul Sikorsky announced Tuesday at a news conference that Henry E. Dinkins is the person of interest related to missing person case of Brazier Terrell. Now, we click on the news conference. It just had happened that Tuesday. So we click on this news conference, okay, posted July 14, 2020, updated July 14, 2020. She went missing July 9th. So I stand corrected on some things about this case right here, right now. So that better explains what the defense attorney is trying to do. But it's still a fail. Everything I already said still stands, except for the year later statements. Okay, it's again. Y'all know about that bleach. You already know. Your grandma done mopped that floor. Your mama had you mopping the floor with bleach. Everybody, if you gotta leave, You can come back and eat dinner and it ain't a problem. In fact, you might still smell some of the Clorox, and most of that is because they still using it. They can clean the bathroom with it sometime throughout the day. They don't wipe the table with it sometime throughout the day. They don't wash dishes with it sometime throughout the day. But when they overuse that Clorox, they can mop that floor, and it's burning, and you go outside and come back, you don't smell the bleach anymore. If she went missing on the 9th, and they confiscated his stuff. Now, the press conference was the previous Tuesday. So this is days later than July 4th. We can give it 2 days even. Because this don't even say that, not this article, but the article where they confiscated his stuff. And we can look up the date that they confiscated it, but this is good enough. We know that it is within a week or two of her going missing. I didn't know that until now. I didn't know I see where they hung right in, and good. They did a good job. Let's give it up to them. They didn't waste no time saying, "Henry, we see you." This shit is stupid. The cop, when he pulled up, Henry, please, when he went to the police office and did the everything that they had to go through to even get him to come down there, and he's still getting mad. Well, what information I got? I don't got no information. Like, what you talking about? Like, why y'all messing with me? What? They knew it was him. They knew to hone in on him. They trying to find this girl. Yes, sir. We went on you like eye of the tiger. So quickly they got his stuff. I thought they didn't get into it after they found the body. This is even better. But it still you're not going to smell no bleach up in there about a week later. Even if you don't air it out. Even if you don't air it out. Them chemicals breaking down, son. He tripping. He's strong with that one too. He been hollering at the whole trial. He's so strong with that and wrong with that. This dude don't got no defense. Man, come on with it. We trying to hear defense. You don't got none. You don't got none.
Bats can be scary in crime cases.
You don't got none.
Evidence to support what the baseball bat has to do with anything. Well, it's a prejudicial piece of evidence and makes Henry look scary. And then the hatchet. Well, the hatchet, you look at that as well. Brand new. Never been used. Never been used. Has nothing to do with anything in this case. You, think back to the testimony of Danita Gardner. She was asked by the state about how Henry was with the children. To you, things were irrational. Your child is missing. Your son's mother's other child is missing. You may not think exactly the way that you would think in rational circumstances. So they're going to put judgment on that. They're going to judge him as a stepfather and say, well, that makes him a killer. That makes him a sexual abuser.
Andrea, did you get your car back?
Bottom line is, the state developed their theory way too early in this case. And that theory was Henry Dinkins to possibly put her in that Impala. But they didn't test for the DNA to put her in the Impala. Because the FBI was told she was in the Impala. And when it came back that we didn't test for DNA in the Impala, then the brass at the Davenport PD said, don't test for it.
That's a lie.
Why on earth was that not done?
That's a lie. That is a lie. We know that's a lie. I remember that testimony. He asked, did they find, he wanted to make an aha point. Did they find her DNA in Impala? No. Oh, so they didn't find her DNA. Man, what? So they didn't find her DNA in Impala. Detective said no, but we know she was in the Impala. Y'all remember that? I even talked about this in one of my videos, and I think I played the actual part. That to me was very outstanding because, and I'm glad he snapped back with that, because you know you're supposed to answer the question asked, not add on. But he knew he needed to add that because she was in Impala. He picked her up in Impala and took her to his house in Impala. He picked up her and her brother in that Impala. She was in the Impala, and they did not find her DNA in Impala. Now, was she in the RV and they didn't find her DNA? That's one reason why I even went with the scenario that he could have possibly had her in the RV and they just didn't find no DNA. Hey, I don't know if he got a magic DNA remover spell gun or like potion or something. I don't know what these dudes know. We don't do what they do. But she was in the Impala. And they didn't find DNA in Impala. They tested for DNA in that Impala and didn't find her DNA in Impala. Why would he even care about them testing when he picked her up in the Impala, so his DNA is going to be in the Impala? This dude sit right here and tell a bold-faced lie. You need to be disbarred. Even Henry probably sitting there like, you stupid. What you saying right now? They did test for the DNA in Impala. Golly. Okay, let's see what else dumb shit he gonna say.
I'm gonna have Mr. Waters also.
I gotta hear him say this again.
Killed this girl. Henry Dinkins molested this girl. So now let's go find the evidence to find it. And the problem is they couldn't find it. They had all the evidence to possibly put her in that Impala, but they didn't test for the DNA to put her in the Impala.
That's what he said.
Because the FBI was told she was in the Impala. And when it came back that we didn't test for DNA in the Impala, then the brass at the Davenport PD said, don't test for it. Why on earth?
He need to be charged for this. I know when they sat back and watched this, they was like, what? I literally told him we tested for DNA in Impala and didn't find any. Because he acted like he found something when he heard him say that. And he said, but we know she was in the Impala. Can he be charged? He need to be charged for this. You can't say that. That's a lie.
Mr. Waters also showed a couple of photos right here, and I'll have him state for me which they are.
Even dude sitting behind him, the cop sitting behind him, he really into it. Oh, girl look like she could really be somewhere else, but that cop is into it. The security team they got behind Dinkins, and I know he's sitting there like, dude, you walking there. I sat right here and heard that man say he tested for DNA in the Impala, didn't find none. But he also added that she was in the Impala. So that's clear that if she was in the Impala and they didn't find no DNA in the Impala, then he got some magic DNA remover we don't know about yet. That's a fact. He got some kind of method of removing her DNA that we don't know about yet. And he didn't use it just on the Impala. He used it on everything.
Picture 12-17. This is a photo that come from the rear passenger side of the Impala. What I want the court to see.
The dude that died of a heart attack that helped him get out the ditch, when he came down and gave his statement, the police wanted to know if his DNA would possibly be on the Impala. Sir, did you touch the car? Do you think your DNA is going to be on the car? Because he was like, why you want to know if I touched the car? He said, well, we want to know if your DNA is probably going to be on the Impala or whatever. And I think old boy was like, oh, they want my DNA. They want my handprint. He said, no, I don't think I touched that car. Then he said, I may have, then he probably thought about it like, this is a murder trial. If they found my DNA after I said I didn't, they probably going to start looking into me. I may have touched it when I reached down to hook it. And you know good and well, he didn't hook up to that car without touching it. He hooked to the car. So you know he touched it. So they asking this because they testing for DNA. And if they find something that ain't his, hearings or Briasia, they want to know whose DNA it is. This dude, this lawyer here is on something.
There is
He's smoking something real hard.
2, 3 water bottles. You'll see a can of Pringles. You'll see a cup, a black cup there. What do people do with water bottles and cups and Pringles? They eat the Pringles, they drink the water bottles, they sip out of the cup. What do people do when they drink out of water bottles, drink out of cups, and eat Pringles? They leave DNA behind. Those weren't seized or handled for DNA either. All of which.
I'm glad this is in a jury trial because the judge knows, he got the evidence, he got the court stenographer records, he know what was said, he know that they tested for DNA. Now this part here, he mentioned this before. I don't remember how the prosecution dealt with this. Y'all help me out. Did they correct this? Did they say we did test these items? Because if they didn't test these items, that's just crazy. But he's doubling down on it. And again, it's good that it's a judge doing this, not a jury, because a jury might let him get away. They might find that it might go over their heads that the testimony was clear that they did test Impala for DNA. But if they didn't test these water bottles and the Pringles cans like he's saying, then they probably inclined, they probably said, go back to deliberations and be like, oh, do we have the evidence of them testing the Pringles? No, they never tested it. They said they didn't test it. Okay, good. So they didn't test none of the car for the DNA, right? Unless somebody remembers and said, no. The detective, let's find his testimony. Unless that happens, he would be Briasia, getting justice would be into question at that point. But again, the judge knows that this guy testified to say he did test the Impala and they didn't find anything. This part right here, I don't recall how that played out. So I don't know if he's lying about this or if he actually got something here.
Could have put Briasia Terrell in that Impala. None of which would have proved she'd been sexually assaulted, but all could have put her in that Impala that night. But that was ignored. Again, shows the theory that they were looking through tunnel vision and had their decision made.
I'm inclined to believe that he's got a point here. He's right on this one. Because those Pringles likely belong to Briasia and her brother. The water bottles likely belong to Dinkins, Briasia, and her brother. If they tested the Pringles, the water bottles, this being not even a week or so later, they would have found DNA on there, I'm sure. I don't know why I don't know.
Sexually assaulted her, and that's why she's dead. We just got to find her, and we'll build our case around that. Mr. Waters showed the other one. This is sorry.
Wait.
This is 12-24. This is from the rear driver door, and what you see there again, those were drank by someone.
Y'all, come on. I'm about to. I don't want to.
Sorry. This is 12-24. This is from the rear driver door, and what you see there again, another water bottle, another Diet Mountain Dew bottle. You even see what appears to be a kid's mask.
Okay. So now he brings up some soda, a mask, and another water bottle, 2 soda cans. He got a picture of some trinkets up here. They didn't test it. If all them items would have been tested, they would have found her DNA on something. Unless they tested those items, and those items were there before they got in the car. A kid mask, though? How long was they riding in the car for them to even be drinking like that and snacking. They went to his friend's house before they went home. So it's likely that they got some snacks, soda, water, chips. If they say they didn't find no DNA in the car, it's highly possible that they didn't they didn't test those items right there. Come on, man. See, now he going somewhere. Now he going somewhere.
Now, again, those were drank by someone. A mask was worn
Man,
by
come
someone.
on, Judge. Can we get your judgment? Because I can't take it. Oh, man.
None of those prove sexual assault. You aren't going to find any blood or semen on those. I know that. You know that. But again, those are items where we commonly find DNA. They weren't tested because their mind had been made up that she was in that car. He had raped her. And they didn't find blood. But again, they had the opportunity. They had the evidence for a year and a half.
And she done. The prosecution done. She done did her closing arguments. There's nothing to say after this. Okay, there's nothing left to say. I mean, come on, look. Iowa granted an early release from prison to a repeat offender just months before he allegedly kidnapped and killed a 10-year-old girl, according to parole documents released Tuesday. The Iowa Board of Parole granted Henry Dinkins parole from a Davenport minimum security residential facility in March 2020. Remember, he went in 2019. The mom said she lost contact with him when he went to prison the last time. She said the last time, she didn't say what year, what date. But March, he got out. July, 2 months later, they saw him. And that day, I believe, he picked them up. That next day, she was missing. March. Basically 4 months before he killed this girl, they decided he was able and willing to fulfill the obligations of a law-abiding citizen. Now, when the defense attorney sits there and say, "Oh, look at this guy. They say he's charming," or whatever the word was used. He doesn't look charming. He got no pizzazz about him or charisma, whatever it is, the word they use. Maybe not to some of us. But you got to have some je ne sais quoi. If you're going to convince the parole board at a minimum security prison residential facility, okay, he convinced the parole board. He had to convince the facility to recommend him that you able and willing to fulfill the obligations of a law-abiding citizen, and 4 months later you rape and kill a little girl. You got something about you, Bo. 4 months later, they made a decision. Now, see, this is the problem that I have with giving these fools chances and say, "Oh, he's eligible for parole." A.J. Armstrong is eligible for parole after 40 years, probably sooner. It's gonna be sooner. Hell, Sharon Lorenzen Wright wife trying to get out already, and she ain't even due for parole, and she conspired to have her children's father killed for his life insurance. Had the dude killed, and she thinks she gonna just get an early parole hearing granted, and they gave her the hearing. She ain't even served the recommended time before she can become paroled yet. And the people of the parole, there's a channel that shows nothing but parole hearings, and I've seen plenty of them where they come up and they done some horrible things, killing and all that. And they be like, well, based upon the information, I think you need to do a little bit more counseling, a little bit more therapy. Come back and tell us. They basically give you the cheat sheet. Come back and tell us, how you taking accountability and blah, blah, blah. This is one woman. She was molesting her own children. It was crazy. In her parole hearing, she basically was saying, yeah, I shouldn't have listened to him, but really, if I had never met that guy, my husband introduced me to this guy, and he suggested I do these things, and, we did it. Her and her husband was molesting both of their son and boy and girl, child. And filming it and sending it or selling it to the guy she met online that she said her husband introduced her to. And basically she was saying, well, if I had not met this guy. And then they asked her, do you have any childhood trauma that could have led to this or that, whatever? And she was like, no, nothing really. I was raped one time when I was 8. What? Okay. That would be it. But she didn't really consider that nothing, because she was like, it's really nothing to her. And she didn't take accountability. So they basically told her, we'll see you back here on your next one. And I'd like to see you take more responsibility and get more help for your childhood trauma. Basically, she do those two things and she get a pass. So when you can rape and kill a child, even with this woman, she didn't kill them, but she did molest them, and they her own children. And y'all know what molest mean. It don't mean you just touched on them. Don't let these motherfuckers out. They don't get the kid back out. You know how sick and twisted you gotta be to even take those steps, and then for us to think that, oh, they got fixed or healed, or they feel like, I'm just not gonna do that again. This is the chance you taking. This is the chance you taking, letting these fools out. These laws need to change. There's no eligibility for parole with this shit. This is a sick ass country where we can sit up here and say you get an eligibility for parole after you done molested and killed a child. We good. We don't want you back out here. We don't need you. No child needs you back out on these streets, because you are leaving it up to that person to make a decision to never again do what they already proven they're capable of doing. That's too big of a chance to take. Now, if you have somebody in jail, they kill someone in self-defense and all that other kind of stuff, there's other things that can be considered with, them having a second chance possibly. But we ain't even talking about none of that. We talking about specifically violating a child and taking the child's life. We don't need you out on the streets hoping and wishing and praying that you don't do that again. And things getting missed. Look at how easy this was for this to happen. March, he got out. 17 years old, he raped violently a 5-year-old. This woman done already met him, had a baby with him. She don't say she knew his past, but how could she not? Let's say she did or didn't. Who cares? She already had a child with him, so that's a link for him to have access to children. The state ain't staying up on that. They not going to her and saying, we let this man out, he's an offender, you have a child with him. Where's the procedure for that? Where's the laws on that? Where's the laws that say they gotta go to her? Because we know he got a child with her, and I'm thinking that's his only child. Seem like he don't got no other children. Why? Where's the law that say they need to go to her and make sure she is clear on the fact that this is a child offender and this is the procedure for this? Ma'am, you are legally required to protect your child and children from this monster. You cannot A, B, and C. Because what are the rules about him being around his own son? They need to be talking with this woman about that. She need to be a part of the program. That's one step that could have been taken. So if he come and try to get Breasia and Dink, they already, the mama and grandma already know this is not, no, that's not how we do this. Now you want to what? The procedure's already set in place. So if he not following the procedure, they know to shut that down and call the people. And the people can come right get him, and he, boom, you don't get back out. He let out in March, get her in July, and the next day she gone. Because they decided he was willing and able. There is reasonable probability that you can be released without detriment to the community or yourself. This is the exact statement they said. According to the parole order signed by the board's chair, Helen Miller. Helen, you did not do a good job. That the Associated Press obtained under the Open Records Law. Less than 4 months after his parole, Dinkins, a registered sex offender with a history of violent and reckless behavior, allegedly kidnapped Breasia from, well, allegedly no more, right? Hopefully, judge, come on with it, from a Davenport apartment complex, shot her to death, and hid her body in rural eastern Iowa. I'm about to throw up. At the time he was granted parole, he was 48. Waiting trial on felony charges in Illinois of possession of methamphetamine and amphetamine with intent to deliver, stemming from, and I thought they didn't play about drugs. Why was he waiting trial, walking around, and he was just released? From an April 2019 traffic stop. It's unclear whether Iowa authorities took that into consideration. Wait a minute. He was released even though he was waiting trial on another case that happened in 2019. What was he released for? That case? It couldn't have been. We're going to have to get those documents because they're saying, okay, he's a registered sex offender. We already know that. They know this. Now he got these charges. And it says he was, okay, at the time he was granted parole, he was awaiting trial on felony charges in Illinois. That's in Chicago. So this is another case. Another case that he already had pending. What did they think? Oh, it's March. He going to trial in April. They don't play about drugs, so he'll be out of here. He won't be out long. They say it's unclear whether Iowa authorities took that into consideration. Well, it need to be clear throughout this trial. See, these are the things y'all got to catch with these cases. These are the things y'all got to catch. You got to catch the facts that they dropped the ball and where. The mama and the grandma dropped the ball and where. So it can be changed. Everything happens for a reason. And you got to look for the sugar in this shit. So he had a trial he's supposed to go through to in April in Illinois. Why was he not there and able to pick up Breasia and her brother in July? Okay, Breasia, the half sister, blah, blah, blah. Dinkins charged with first degree murder, kidnapping, each of which carry a possible life term. They gotta have him felony possession of fire. He got some more charges they can add to him. Plenty more. Iowa Board of Parole Records Detail, even though this gives him a life sentence, I don't care, because we all know that all that stuff turned out to be bullshit, which turns out to be they possibly getting out one day. Detail Dinkins' criminal history and some leniency he received along the way, even as he committed crime after crime. He had been in and out of prison and correctional programs since 1990, when he was convicted of third-degree sexual abuse of a child when he was 17, and he required to register as a sex offender. He had been arrested and cited a dozen times. Well, they said dozens of times, on charges that include violating sex offender registry requirements, assault while displaying a dangerous weapon, domestic violence, drug possession, theft, and eluding. A 2009 murder charge was dropped after the police said he was a witness, not the killer. Damn. His most recent return to prison stemmed from a March 2019 arrest. Okay, this is the what they say? This is okay. So this is the one he just got released from. He was high on crack and crashed into a Davenport yard while trying to flee from the police. It was at least his 5th arrest for operating while intoxicated since 2007. See, the judge is going to have to look at all of this when he come back with his conviction. So please, y'all, keep that in mind. It didn't catch him then all this time, but he has to consider all this when he make this judgment. But it's too late. The baby is dead. She suffered. Whatever he did to her, he did that. And she gone. This dude could have been swiped up and kept. Y'all can have him. I thought they liked having guys in prison. I thought they liked the work they get out of them and whatever. I don't know, whatever else they benefit from. I thought this was the thing. Some of these dudes, we got to look at who all keep getting let out that shouldn't be let out and why. Look at the types of criminals that keep getting released. Look at what they end up doing. It be the ones that go out here and kill another black woman or child. In 2014, okay, so this was 2007 when he was high on crack. Okay, that it makes sense why his brain cells are like they are. You know, you smoke crack, don't you? He crashed into a Davenport yard while trying to flee from the police. Was it a police yard or somebody's residential yard? Because they usually don't call, they usually say someone's yard. I don't know. Probably a police yard. It was at least maybe he was going to turn himself in. That's what he said. It was at least his 5th arrest for operating while intoxicated. What? These the type of people y'all keep giving chances to, letting on the streets. At least his 5th arrest for operating while intoxicated. Okay, let's say he was a drunk driver and he killed somebody. There's too many possibilities that this dude was going to harm or kill somebody. So when people say this ain't his first time killing, man, you got every reason to feel like that. Not just the case alone. Look at all it is. In 2014, officers used a stun gun and pepper spray to subdue him after he crashed his car while on cocaine. He's smoking crack again, y'all. He's smoking crack again. In 2011, he allegedly caused an accident involving multiple semi-trailers when he drove the wrong way on Interstate 80 while intoxicated. Multiple semi-trailers? We didn't know Henry was out here like that. In another incident that year, he drove 90 miles per hour while high through a residential area where children were playing with his SUV's engine later exploding. Did y'all know Harry was wild like this? Days after the March 2019 arrest, he was arrested while allegedly, well, it says OWI. I don't know what that means. He was arrested while allegedly in possession of more than 900 grams of meth and 200 grams of methamphetamine in Bureau County, Illinois. He was released from jail after posting a $100,000 bond. He only had to post 10% of that. And they let him go. Did they look at his criminal history at all? They should have kept him. Y'all, Illinois, y'all could have had him. He could have worked well in your prison system. Made y'all some money. You could have got checks from the government. You know how that works. Why y'all didn't keep him? Do they have to be original citizen of the state for y'all to get the bonuses? Huh? It's ridiculous. Judge Joel Barrows sentenced Dinkins to up to 5 years in prison in October 2019 for the OWI and barred him from driving for 6 years. Records show Dinkins served 60 days before he was transferred to the minimum security Davenport residential facility. I feel like this needs to be a separate short video. There he completed a 4-month substance abuse treatment program and secured full-time employment, records show. A probation officer recommended he be released by April the 6th. Someone who has this type of record, you recommended him to be released within a year? Did you just have a high caseload and you was like, oh, this one, that one? Let me get this up off me. There's no way he should have been in society. He was a danger in all kind of ways. Gosh, I don't want to keep reading. Because then they moved up his release date to March 19th. Yeah, I'm going to make another short video on this. Miller approved both requests, ending a sentence that had been projected to last until January 2022. Now, Waylon McCullough, director of the 7th Judicial District Department of Correctional Services in Davenport, said the handling of his sentence was standard process for repeat OWI offenders. What the heck is that? Now I need to know. So let's see if they're going to. Come on, Google, do what you do. OWI is basically driving while intoxicated. A misdemeanor. I don't know why it's only bringing up Michigan, but I'm pretty sure it's basically the same thing everywhere else. And it's all in referencing DUIs, everything we're seeing. So what it stands for, I'm not sure, but it's DUIs. We're not even going to get too deep into that. All right. And the pandemic didn't appear to have impact on the release decision. But he said the case was complicated. Oh, y'all was hoping he got COVID and died? Because that ain't happened. But they said the case was complicated by the Illinois charges, which have not yet been resolved. Records show that Dinkins appeared in an Illinois courtroom on July 8, 2020 for conference ahead of a July 27 trial date. Breasia disappeared 2 days later. He was in court on July 8th. July 10th, that cop was pulling up looking for Breasia. And McCullough said it's a horrible situation, a horrible crime. But of course, we have to keep in mind that he is yet to be convicted. Yeah, he is yet to be convicted, but if this judge don't handle his business, boy, you can say goodbye. Because you getting up out of there. Okay? This right here, he got to go. I'm going to continue to listen to the defense, but I also want to get to the point of this video where I started, which was this. And I veered off into the AJ case. And I'm going to do a separate short video on this for sure, because I don't think everybody going to make it through this long video. Okay, so listen to these jurors. And I'm going to play a little bit, but I'm going to skip to the end because I want to be clear on whether or not they are from this trial. I think it's too soon for them to be, but hey, I don't know. But this is easy. This is 10 months ago. So no, they were from the second trial probably. So I don't know why people in the comments, they probably confused because this was posted 10 months ago. Okay, so that's easy. October 22nd, 27th in 2022. But the ones that are here, I don't know exactly how many. It doesn't clear, that out. We know there's 12 jurors in all, and then you have some alternates. And alternates can speak as well. And you have the title saying some jurors, so we're unclear. Now, listen to them.
It's emotional for you?
Yeah. Because he's guilty. He's absolutely guilty.
What was it that made you think that, without a doubt, he was guilty?
Well, there were several things. One, when he said that he saw someone running down the stairs, it was clearly made up. It was dark. He said he was African-American wearing a mask. Well, it was dark. And if it truly was your brother, Josh, wouldn't you recognize his physique? I could tell you any one of these people here running away because I've watched them for 3 weeks now. I know how they walk. And so I could, whether their feet turn out, their feet turn in, whatever, I would have known. And he would have known that was his brother. So that was clearly made up. And then from that time, someone running down the stairs, they were going to stop, put the gun down, open the kitchen drawers, write a note, and then leave while he's making a 911 call. No, they would have hightailed it out of there. And there was, no one heard, not the door, but the garage door. No one heard that going up and down.
You can feel it too when you're in a townhouse, because the garage door's underneath you, so you can basically feel the vibrations of the floor when the garage goes up and down, so no one talks about that.
Can you tell us what it was like to be in the room, the deliberations, and what that sort of, we heard it was 6-6 and then it was 8-4. Can you tell us sort of about how it started and how it progressed?
I feel everyone was more so focused on the defense's distractions, how I want to put it, as far as Josh being a factor and the garage door having some sort of access from outside people. So I felt there was so much attention on those factors that everyone just wasn't focusing on the actual facts. And they were just creating their own scenarios to where eventually more people were like, oh, okay, I can see why you would have reasonable doubt. And that's where it went from 6-6 to 8-4. And I'm in my position, I'm still trying to, even at that point, I'm going back and forth like, okay, well, am I missing something? So I think it was just a bunch of back and forth and confusing each other. Because at one point, everyone said, oh, we know he did it. We know he's not innocent, but we still have doubt. So I think it was just a bunch of confusion and people overthinking it and not really wanting to accept it for what it is.
What is it like though when you have those moments of like, you are so adamant that he was guilty, and is there, you're trying to convince each other? Like, how do you work through that?
Well, there's a moment where you feel like, okay, well, should I just agree with y'all? Like, am I the one that's not looking at it from y'all's perspective? So you kind of toggle back and forth with yourself, and it just gets to the point where I just kind of lost hope. I didn't want to keep arguing and trying to prove. It's like, okay, well, I just...
How frustrating was that for you?
You were shaking your head when she said, what you wanted to say something.
If the three of us had been in there with her?
Yeah, I needed some help. It would have been different. It got to the point where just minds were being changed just because everyone has their own scenarios or assumptions of what could have happened based off the Josh factor and the fact that they testified to the garage door having some sort of access while the house was still armed. So everyone's main focus was on that as far as there possibly being another situation that could have happened.
How frustrating is that for you?
I don't know.
To what end?
Why does he lean over like that? It's like his back is at a curve. He's a weird looking kid. But y'all hear what they saying? You gotta listen to this. You gotta listen to this. It's KPRC2 click video. Some jurors reflect on AJ Armstrong case. This is very telling. This is what happens in those jury rooms. That's why, I mean, if you thinking about you want to be charged by a jury or your peers, it's the same thing as being in the comment section. Okay, take 12 people from the comment section and look at their different comments on a situation and imagine them all together having to judge. It's gonna be it. Whoever the winner is, whoever the out argues the other people, they're gonna wear them down till they get them to and they're supposed to. That's how they go. So the popular opinion basically wins in jury trials. Now let's get closer to the end so they can talk about him getting another trial.
And they're just focused on all these other little details that irrelevant. Yes.
Did anyone look at AJ through the whole trial and say, like, he couldn't be a killer? He didn't look like a killer. Like, was there any talk of that?
No.
No, not
Okay.
outwardly, but I think we all may have thought it. Like we don't want to believe it, but it's true. It's pretty obvious what the truth is here. So.
No, I never heard anybody say, he doesn't look like a killer. He looks like a nice young man.
Yeah, I never
heard
anyone
that.
say that.
Never heard that.
Again, I did hear everyone saying we believe he did it, but we have doubt. So.
At the end of the day, though, two people are dead, and now in a lot of ways there's not justice for them. That's what you're saying. How do you leave and wrap your minds around that?
Well, I did have a little emotional breakdown, but being here now, being able to speak to the media, and gives me a little more, comfort that something, justice will be served. So.
You have anything else you want? I mean, I know you were alternates. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we were not supposed to talk about it when we're alternates, but, when we get in there and we look at each other all dead in the eye, we all know what each other thinks, and we all know that there's nothing that was going to change our mind. There was just too many things that didn't make sense, that added up, from the 911 call, that was the big one. You hear a door creak opened. My fellow alternate also wrote that down in her notes, and we talked to each other about it, but I never had anybody else mention that. And then, if there was a masked man that they, mentioned later on in that interview, why was there no concern for going down the stairs? Why was there no concern for, what if he's still in the house? Yeah. Why? There was no concern like, are you sure it's okay? Are you sure it's safe for me to go down there? None of that.
Just to sum it up, it's over now. After 18 hours of deliberation and weeks of trial,
Somebody say, bro, they need black people on the jury. We got to go tell the truth. We know he did it. Well, if you got a job and other responsibilities and they don't pay you, I think, until after it's done. And it's like, it depends on the city and state, but let's say $5 a day, maybe, if that. And you're demanded to be there. You can't have your phone. Just think about this now. It's almost like being in jail. You can't have your phone. You have to be there when they say you be there. You don't get to leave, go use the bathroom, all that like you want to. You don't get to leave until they tell you to. If they say you got to be sequestered to a hotel for a few days until y'all figure this out or whatever, that's what you have to do. You don't get access to nothing you have in your daily life, including your family. You cannot have contact with nobody because you cannot discuss the trial, be influenced by anything. You are in this, you just stuck until this is over. And some can last a long time. Months. I think upping the pay is not going to hurt. I think if anything, it should be demanded because that is a duty that people feel like we should all take part in. And I'm just saying, I like the opt-out policy because everybody can't for different reasons, and everybody ain't going to want to. And some want to, but they look at the sacrifices you have to make, which are extreme, and that part is not going to change. But the money compensation, y'all gotta be kidding. Like you saying this, we have to. No, we don't have to do nothing. That's why some people don't. So when you say you want more black people on there, they looking at, man, this ain't gonna pay my bills. Imagine if you're the breadwinner of the house. You the main one responsible. And they talking about you gotta serve on jury duty. Hey, y'all need to work on that too. But yeah.